Hey, come on. I know everyone was out celebrating the big win last night, so I'm absolutely thrilled that there's this many people
How are you?
in the room, and you actually still look pretty bright and shiny. But
Hello, my friend.
thank you, Sam. Thank you, Dr. Kelly.
Thank you.
It's a great opportunity to follow Major General Hicks.
Nice to see you.
Because
Is Kimberly here?
the way that I want to talk about IT modernization, I have a voice from above.
Hi, how are you?
All right, the way I want to talk about IT modernization is actually mission focused. So it's exciting to talk about how you deliver on mission with IT modernization. I like you too, wherever you're coming from. All right, is that Francis? I think his voice is better than mine though, so. The team asked me to talk about what's next in federal IT, and I'm looking forward to doing that, but I want to share it in the context of the President's management agenda, as Francis noted, so that we talk about both the big picture and the overarching things and the longer term vision for federal IT, as well as with this group, drill down on some of the tactical things that we have to do now and we have to act on urgently. So I asked for a little bit of audience participation. I want to do one more just so I kind of get a lay of who's in here. How many of you, if you are a federal employee, raise your hand or your phones. I know a lot of you have them in your, okay. All right. And those of you who are business partners, vendors, contractors, and supporting the federal IT agenda, raise your hand for me. Okay. That's right. Those that didn't raise your hand, I know you're out partying last night. So I hope that you're doing something productive through our conversation. But seriously, I'm going to start our discussion with a nod to a point that everything that I'm going to talk about aligns with some of the comments that you heard earlier this morning, is that we're about delivering a better citizen experience. And you're going to hear that from some of the other panels today. And you're going to hear that over and over in the way we're looking at the technology, the way that we're designing the approaches that are being taken, and the way that we actually demonstrate results. We're not going to talk about results like a big checklist of things. We're going to talk about what we've done to enable mission and to serve citizens. So let's see if I can get this thing to work there. All right, I already did that part. So let's look at this in digital form.
People don't always think about government, but when we need government services, we expect them to work. Government is and should be dedicated to the mission of serving our communities, protecting our safety, and growing our economy. Today, people can order a car for a ride to the airport with a smartphone, but farmers still have to drive hours to the nearest USDA office to apply in person for crop insurance. Our government must recognize that federal customers deserve an experience comparable to leading private sector practices. This is why we have relaunched the President's Management Agenda, the PMA. This agenda offers a vision that will not only change the way government serves its people, but will drive a deep-seated transformation that will last generations. Through our three key initiatives of IT modernization, data accountability and transparency, and federal workforce transformation, we believe the needed and profound change in government is possible. The President's Management Agenda embraces remarkable ingenuity and capabilities that prepare our government to meet the needs of the American people in the 21st century. You can learn more about the President's Management Agenda at omb.gov.
All right. We want to talk about what we want to accomplish, again, based on outcomes, based on what we're achieving. So that's why we start, with the President's Management Agenda. And I wish I could stand here and talk only about innovation, cutting edge technology, and some of the cool things that are going on outside. That's important, but we still have many things to do just to be current in the 21st century. And that is also what's part of the President's management agenda. The PMA is not necessarily, a new fad. In fact, most of the focus areas are continued. They are things that many of you have been working on. But they're put together under the context of how we use IT to serve mission, how we change our approach to the way that we look at data and consider data as the highest value asset that we have, and that we ensure the workforce, the people in this room, the people who serve citizens, the people who are mission fighters, actually have the tools that they need to deliver against the mission. So what you saw in the video is how we're taking on technology modernization. We are focused on, there we go, enhancing the overall experience. You see in the center there, mission, service, and stewardship. To achieve all of these, our overall goal is to move the standards of government service towards meeting expectations of the 21st century. That sounds great, but it's the intersection. What's different about this agenda and the way that we're approaching it is ensuring that we bring technology, people, and the data together in the processes at the exact same time. So, we talk about IT modernization specifically. The goal actually requires that our CIOs and their teams, many of you here today, address the basic directives that were already outlined in the IT modernization report. There's a list of things that we have to do to be current. There's no question we need to move against those aggressively. And that's one of the things that we're focused on. For those who have not moved, how do we help them move faster and close those as gaps? There are unique portions of each of the agendas that are about each agency's transformation, very unique and very special to mission. Those are priorities that we want to ensure get the right level of focus. And then the last piece, there are components of the administration priorities that are weaved into the President's management agenda. What's also exciting and different, and what you see down the side here, is that we're trying to leverage every single vehicle. Those of you who have been in federal government for many years know sometimes it is complicated to get things done. But we're trying to use every vehicle and introduce new ways to think about transformation. Some of the flexible funding vehicles coming from the private sector, I'm very excited about those because large-scale transformation takes many years. It takes a vision and it takes multiple years. So the funding that you have has to support that same process so that you can be visionary and tactical at the same time. So leveraging those vehicles are important. You see other things that we're focused on: user-centered design, light, efficient commercial technology, and agile acquisition. So this is a really simple picture, but I wanted to connect with many of the things that are going on in the room. There's 15 other words that could have been around this circle, but if we look at what we're trying to do, again, best serve the mission, provide the best service to the citizens, and be effective stewards of taxpayer money. What you see here are things that are on that modernization agenda, but there could be more. It is all part of a rationalization journey, and that's the discussion that's being driven at the CIO level, is not to think of these things in isolation, but think of them as multiple capabilities that you bring together to best serve the unique mission of that agency, and what the right combination of those is. And that requires people who understand the vision of the agency and the mission, and that's why the direct connection to the agency leadership is so important. But it also requires the technology understanding as to what we can do with some of these fantastic tools. What you have heard, and I hope some of these words are the components that you have seen in the modernization agenda, but we are also making commitments in some areas. I've talked about mission focus. You see there shared services. Things that we know that we do commonly across multiple agencies. We are pushing very hard and through a renewed emphasis to bring those to bear across all agencies, for us to be efficient stewards of taxpayer money. The ability to leverage common solutions for common things is going to be very important. And that's going to also be a change and a part of the journey. We are looking at this as a collective enterprise. When we talk about our cyber agenda, we have a collective risk. Agencies own their cyber posture, but the risk is for our entire enterprise. So the way that we look at our modernization journey is both individual and as an enterprise. On the broader IT agenda, I have asked the CIOs and the agencies to focus on a few things very, very clearly. Closing the gaps. That's all the things you saw on the previous slide that were listed on the IT modernization agenda. Ensuring that citizens are first and that we're changing the way that we look at how we design and deliver services. I know you have a panel across the day. You're going to talk about that a little bit more. Ensuring the federal workforce is at the table for those discussions. To be able to deliver effective services, the team that's delivering those has to have some of the best tools as well and be integrated into that service model. So ensuring that the federal workforce is involved with the design efforts. And the most exciting thing, and some of the things that are represented outside, is starting to rebuild the foundation for the government to be a technology leader again. Major General Hicks highlighted some things that the DoD is able to do that does lead the industry. Those are leading opportunities, things that we can do across modernization. We want to reposition with innovation as a core skill. And modernization is actually never over. It's a unique time in, I think, our political environment. How many of you remember having any technology objectives that were kind of White House level objectives? Anybody? Right? It's been a cycle. And we have the opportunity right now to make the most of those creative vehicles and the focus and use the modernization efforts as a way to change our operating model and, again, how we serve citizens. The component of user-centered design, the way that we are moving towards that is very important. That's where we're using centers of excellence to build the path forward and to create success and to be able to replicate that. That's where we are using our various design teams to work directly with agencies to build new skills and to pivot to these processes going forward. There are a lot of opportunities for support. We just have to move quickly on that journey together. One of the most exciting parts of the President's Management Agenda, if I can move this. This was an example. I pulled this out to give an example of user-centered design, and again, I'm not going to steal any thunder of the team who is here at the end of the day, but one of the key things is talking to the individuals that we're serving and ensuring what we're delivering actually meets their needs, and being able to make doing business with the government simpler. And this is a great example. You'll hear about it later this afternoon, but there's many examples. And again, when we talk about the CAP goals and the goals of IT modernization, we will be demonstrating results based on citizen impact. Okay, there we go. One of the other very exciting goals is the data focus. We actually had a session yesterday at the White House with representatives from many agencies, from academia, and from business partners in the industry to focus on how we look at big data. The federal government has the best data in the world. I won't run through a list of statistics, but the data that is produced is extraordinary, it's important, and we can solve problems using that data. But we have to address basic things around the hygiene, the principles of sharing, a fierce protection of privacy, what things we keep internal, what things we make available to the public. And the way that we're approaching that is creating a long-term strategy, and a strategy that will hopefully last when the next person is up here talking to you, but will position us as a lighthouse forward. But the way that we're informing that is through incubators, and incubators to solve very specific problems so that we can have tactical answers to some of those guiding principles. Again, fierce protection of privacy, how we leverage data, what's the hygiene, what are our sharing models, what can we share, how do we accept that data, and what does that model look like? I'm looking at some of my friends who were in the data session yesterday. There was a very, very sad story from one of the HHS team members talking about the fact that it took a year to agree to share data within the agency. And then there were multiple others who shared the same story. I need this data, I need that data. We have an opportunity to turbo boost the services that we deliver. So this is one of the most exciting parts of the President's management agenda, but it's different. You'll see both the strategy and the incubators, and the incubators we are going to look at critical problems, and the efforts of the team yesterday were the first step in defining those use case problems that you will hear about over the course of the next 2 years. So let's talk about workforce. I've already mentioned the importance of workforce a couple of times. In the President's management agenda, there is a strategic effort around multiple areas of workforce. How we retain, how we recruit, and how we reskill our workforce. As part of the technology modernization agenda, as we become more efficient, we eliminate paper. My personal experience in joining the government, the first thing that they handed me was a big stack of paper. I thought, you've got to be kidding me. I have to fill this out in paper? That's not the type of environment that most of you expect and many of our citizens expect in any other part of their life. The bar is high around those services. So as, again, we pivot to those more digital services, more electronic, more nimble, timely, things that happen in an instant, not in a month, not in a year, things that we serve people instantaneously, we have to ensure that the workforce is moving as well. So you see that there are multiple focuses of ensuring that the workforce is at the table, we make investments, and that as we transform our operating models, we are addressing what we need to do from a people perspective at the same time. Let me move, there we go. So this is the last, it's kind of a complicated picture, I know, from a slide perspective, but I just talked broadly about the three key pillars of the President's management agenda. There are other tactical objectives that are woven in here, and these are the specific ways that we're making these goals actionable. There are teams. A very exciting part is this is not just something that's led by one team. There are agency leadership roles across each one of these goals. They're sponsoring them to ensure that, as you see, we not only address the broad vision, but we tactically deliver results, and we're holding ourselves accountable every quarter to publish what's been done. And I think that's something that is not only different, it'll be a litmus test of how well we're working together and how well we're collaborating. So I want to go back to the big picture. I covered the large goals, they're interrelated. As it was said in the video, all of these and the detailed goals and what's expected each quarter is actually out there on performance.gov. If it's not something you've looked at, take a look at it. More importantly, I hope the conversation is at your agency level and your team about what does our modernization agenda look like and how do we tell our success story and what's our strategy to deliver on all of these. So one very important thing, especially when you look at a lot of objectives like this, it requires collaboration and it requires dialogue. And we're intensely focused on ensuring that there are inputs from private sector, from academia, and many representatives from the federal community in those conversations. As you build your teams to deliver on your individual modernization agendas, I have one ask today and every day that I have the privilege of talking to a large group of feds. I'd ask for your commitment to build diverse teams, because diverse teams produce better results. And diverse teams reflect the population that we're serving. So that's an ask. As we drive new business models, we drive a new vision, and a way that we can deliver better results is to have a more diverse team, and we definitely need better results. So I'm going to close it back with kind of how we started. What's the future of federal IT? The future of federal IT is a lot of different things, but it's what you in this room take action on to serve mission. Serve the mission of the agency. Look at the technology that we're delivering as an enabler. You heard Major General Hicks say that. I think you're going to hear lots of other individuals today say that. It is an enabler, and we need to look at it that way. So everyone here is actually part of driving our success in this mission. The agenda is not just a trendy idea of the current administration. It's actually an American imperative to manage our collective risk and fiercely protect our future. You heard that earlier from one mission-serving perspective. As I've talked to each agencies, I am excited and inspired by the missions that they serve. To serve our veterans, to enable small businesses, to feed, to provide health care, to look at our energy infrastructure, to move us all around. Every one of the missions is exciting and interesting, and we have to be on that agenda together. So your support in how we achieve this agenda and return our government to a position of technology leadership is critical. It's very much appreciated. The fact that you're here today says that this is important to you, and so I thank you very much for being on this journey with us. And I hope in some of the conversations there was one point that you will take away, drive with your team, and that collectively we can advance this agenda. And I appreciate your support. Thank you.